Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Georgetown professor Christine Fair. We've talked about her before. She's got quite the potty mouth on her. Christine Fair tweeting. She's an associate professor at Georgetown Security Studies program. She tweeted over the weekend in response to Lindsey Graham's Joseph Welch moment during the Kavanaugh hearing, as well as just the sum total of the hearings themselves and what Republicans had to say. She said, Christine Fair tweeted, "All of them deserve miserable deaths, while feminists laugh as they take their last gasps. Bonus, we castrate their corpses and feed them to swine. Yes." She also tweeted, "Look at this chorus of entitled white men justifying a serial rapist's arrogated entitlement." Hilariously, Georgetown University said in response to an inquiry about the good professor's tweets that they respect Fair's right to freedom of speech, but also expect her to keep her classrooms free of bias. Oh yes.
Okay.
That's going to happen. Remember, she has said other things. She's in 2017, she came under fire sending messages to a former Georgetown professor, Asra Nomani. Nomani claimed that Fair began harassing her after she admitted to voting for Trump for president. "I've written you off as a human being. Your vote helped normalize Nazis in D.C. Do you understand? What don't you understand, you clueless dolt? F you, go to hell." And profanity is punctuates Fair's Twitter page. Unfortunately, Twitter suspended her account.
Oh, really?
And I am starting a campaign. I just tweeted myself, starting a campaign to have Christine Fair's account reinstated.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the Brandeis School that sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I think the nation needs to see how polluted our college campuses are, the hallowed halls of academia in places like Georgetown, putatively a good school, whatever that means anymore. See who's there. See how polluted it is when you have people like Christine Fair who are professors at colleges with reputations like Georgetown. Oh, in a related story in academia, Kavanaugh teaching at Harvard. Remember how he said, "Love teaching at law school"? That's probably over thanks to Senate Democrats on the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, I love coaching. Have been for 7 years, 5th and 6th grade girls basketball. That might be over with.
His class at Harvard has been canceled. Brett Kavanaugh's.
Really?
Of course. For more on this topic and other Kavanaugh-related issues, we're pleased to be joined again by Roger Kimball, who's the editor of The New Criterion and columnist for PJ Media, and hails from the intellectual realm of Eastern Seaboard high-mindedness himself. Roger, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, nice to be with you. I should point out, however, that I grew up in Maine. The rural fastness is in Maine, so
all right.
So I haven't been thoroughly marinated in the East Coast.
Good, you're lucked out.
Awfulness.
What about so everything Kavanaugh predicted that actually was occurring to him in real time on Thursday is now coming to fruition, including the Democrats moving the goalposts, which is all their histrionics Thursday about turn to Don McGahn, as Dick Durbin said, and tell him to start the FBI investigation. So how do you react to what we're getting from Democrats now that they got what they wanted, courtesy of Flake and Coons?
Well, there's an old Chinese saying, "Be careful what you wish for." And I suspect that the Democrats are going to rue the day they asked for an FBI investigation, because, of course, what you say to a journalist is neither here nor there. You're not under oath. But what you say to any federal officer is subject to U.S. Code 1001, which says that it's a felony to lie or misrepresent what you say if you're talking to the FBI or the Judiciary Committee or any federal officer. I see see that Senator Grassley has already referred one person to the Department of Justice for a criminal complaint because of he without foundation alleged that Brett Kavanaugh had assaulted somebody on a boat in Newport. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I would love to have the FBI have a nice sit down with Christina Blasey Ford and find out exactly what happened. Of course, she doesn't have to talk to them, and if she's wise, she won't. But I suspect that we're going to find out that Deborah Ramirez and Ms. Swetnick, who's offered up to the world by Michael Avenatti, that they're just Democratic shills lying. And if they talk to the FBI, it's likely that they will find themselves with a new orange suit for the next 5 years.
Wow. Well, Roger, you did
be gratifying.
Yeah, you saw Swetnick's interview with Kate Snow, correct?
I did not.
Oh, well, she pretty much said, because she asked her, was Brett Kavanaugh the one who assaulted you, and she didn't know. She's like, I don't know. I can't say with certainty.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's going to be questioned by the FBI. Democrats gave a list of 24 people, 24 witnesses they want questioned. But who do we know so far that's been questioned? Mark Judge was yesterday. Luddington.
Mark Judge is the only one I know. Yeah.
Yeah, Luddington was, and Deborah Ramirez.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know it's and as we watch this malignant circus unfold, it's difficult to keep in mind how bizarre this whole process is. I mean, the spectacle of this obtuse Senator Whitehouse parsing Brett Kavanaugh's high school yearbook on the floor of the Senate was preposterous. Oh my gosh, what does boof mean? It's just ridiculous. Now, of course, it's even worse than this. Yes, they are trying to destroy Brett Kavanaugh. But I think, John Hinderaker had a very insightful piece the other day at Powerline, I think, when he pointed out that the fact that Brett Kavanaugh is a man of spotless reputation, a distinguished jurist whose integrity was hitherto unquestioned by anyone, that fact makes the destruction of Brett Kavanaugh not a bug, but a feature. The point is they could do this to anyone.
Right.
And the moral is you better back off and cede power to us. We, the progressive left, are the only ones who really deserve to govern. You conservatives, you can be sort of window dressing, but you don't really get a voice in this. Now, I think that people are actually beginning to wake up to this. And, they have declared war. They have declared war on the rule of law, on the Constitution, on due process. And you can see people waking up, like Lindsey Graham gave the performance of his career during the hearings last week. And I suspect this whole thing now is going to be a huge, huge backfire for the left. Well, Kavanaugh will be confirmed, and the midterms are not going to be a blue wave, believe me.
Well, yeah, and Mitt McConnell said yesterday that the vote is going to happen this week. He confirmed that there will be a confirmation vote this week after the FBI report is filed. And the other dynamic, it seems to me, Republicans need to continue to explain is, and Bill McGurn sort of gets to this in his piece in the Wall Street Journal about this all being, going after Kavanaugh in a way they did in Gorsuch is because Roe is at stake, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
And that the fact is over the last 50 years, Democrats, the left, have been able to gain through the courts what they couldn't the legislatures, and now they see that in jeopardy. So it's all hands on deck, and every bullet fired.
Yes, well, I think that's true. But I think it's even worse than that. Bad though that is. I mean, it is unquestionably the case that in the background is Roe v. Wade. Although, I believe Kavanaugh when he says that it's the settled law, and he's a constitutionalist who follows the law. But that's just a one kind of sideline here. I mean, the irony is, of course, that Brett Kavanaugh is not a fire-breathing right-wing ideologue. He's a very judicious, impartial judge, which is why everybody loves him. all his law clerks, everybody he's ever worked with or worked for, or who has worked, or has worked for him. He has got a sterling reputation for fairness. So that's the irony. I mean, the Democrats could have done a lot worse than Brett Kavanaugh, and perhaps they will eventually someday. One can only hope. But
the other thing, though, and this points to Brett Kavanaugh as well as to Lindsey Graham. There's two. I mean, Kavanaugh is a conservative and an originalist, and I get that, but he's also part of the Beltway establishment and has been for a long time.
Yes,
and he thought,
absolutely.
and he thought collegiality was going to be enough to get him through because everybody loved him. And now he has gotten a strong dose of what the cultural Marxist left actually is. And so is Lindsey Graham. And hopefully, this is a message to the other Beltway creatures that are on the R side.
Yes, I hope it's a wake-up call. But behind all this, Roe v. Wade is one thing, and you're absolutely right. For the last several decades, the Democrats have been used to using the Supreme Court to circumvent the will of the people. The Supreme Court has become their legislative bludgeon to progress, to foster a progressive agenda. And that would definitely be in jeopardy. But even beyond that, I think it's that, you saw this, many of the Democratic senators, when, summing up their feelings, why they weren't going to vote for Brett Kavanaugh, a leitmotif was he was picked by Donald Trump. Yeah. And the original sin here is that Donald Trump's election is held to be illegitimate. Why? Because he was elected without their permission and over their strenuous objections. He's not of their tribe. He somehow, despite all of their careful plans, managed to get elected. And not only that, he is willing to react to their assaults. Instead of rolling over into a little ball and whimpering in the corner like other Republicans tend to do, he stands up to them. If he's attacked, he attacks back. And this, I'm afraid, that what we have just seen over these last 2 weeks with this disgusting display is all-out war. And I'm happy to say that I see our side finally standing up for itself. Senator Grassley has done, some very good things in the last week or so in standing up for the process. And I think that the Democrats are going to rue the day they open this Pandora's box.
All right. He is Roger Kimball, editor of The New Criterion and columnist for PJ Media. Roger, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer.